Hi. This is Neil. I am Neil. I run a record label. It's called ATA Records, which stands for All Things Analogue. I've wanted to do a podcast. I've had the idea of doing a podcast for a really long time. Specifically recorded analog on reel to reel. And I think this is the first episode. Basically, I had to interview, or why did I want to do the podcast? I wanted to do this podcast because I find the people that I work with or who contribute to the label really fascinating and interesting people, and I often have conversations with them that I kind of leave the conversations thinking, God, I wish I'd recorded that. That was really, really interesting. So I've started doing it. So this is kind of episode 1. It's an interview with Tony Burkill, a friend and sax player who's been with the label or doing stuff with the label since 2010 maybe. And I've known him from before then. We do a project together called Work Money Death, which is a kind of homage to sort of sax players like Pharoah Sanders, Roland Kirk, John Clemmer, Gato Barbieri. And for this release, which is coming out at the end of November, I had to do some interviews for Barry, who writes our liner notes. And this is my interview with Tony. I hope you enjoy it.
Hiya.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, not bad, and you?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Yes, it's quite a good line.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I'm just making sure... Am I speaking again?
How are you doing today? Is everything all right?
Everything's okay. I ran out of coffee, so it's chai tea. But you would probably say you don't need coffee, Neil.
Well, only you know that.
Do you know what? I kind of... I've had your lemon and ginger, and I agree with you. But I just can't break away from coffee. It's the problem.
No, just go for it. That's what I'm saying. You do whatever you need to do, isn't it, to get through?
I did think, as I was making it, I was like, could I just do lemon and ginger? And I was like, but just that one delicious coffee, maybe. Just one a day. And then switch on to Tony's lemon and ginger concoction.
That's right. But you've not only got to get the lemon and ginger with it, but you've got to get the turmeric in there.
I know. That's the magic ingredient, isn't
turmeric.
It? Yeah.
Doesn't quite taste the same though, does it?
No, well, I like I like getting the root stuff. You know, you can get it from Abu Bakar's down in Royal Park. That's where I like to get it from.
Yeah, it sends all your face yellow.
My beard, just the edge of my beard.
That's right. What's happening with this, Neil? Then this album, because we haven't really heard it since last year, have we? Really? Was it all right? Did it turn out all right?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it's turned out pretty good.
And you managed to get it pressed and stuff?
Yeah, it's all... This sounds like I've kept you incredibly in the dark, doesn't it? Yeah, it's all pressed up. It's arriving... When's it arriving? I think in the next couple of days, actually.
Yeah.
It's coming through. It's arriving, which is good.
And did he manage to do the artwork?
Yes, the artwork's good. I sent you a picture of that, I think. It looks like a man's head.
Eh?
It looks like a man's head.
Yeah, and that's on your sort of your ATA website for releases. Is it top of the releases or something?
Yeah, it is. That's the one.
Okay. Right. And what have you done with it? Is it a 2-track thing or what?
No, it's all 4 tracks.
Or 4 tracks. And how long is that? Do you know? How long does that last?
It lasts about just shy of 40 minutes, I think.
Right, so it's similar to the other ones.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit longer, actually. And a bit more, obviously, which is nice.
And you're happy with the way it came out?
Yeah, really happy.
Yeah, oh, good.
Really happy, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't listened to it for a while. But I am happy. Yeah, I'm happy with how it's come out.
Right, okay.
We've got some really good feedback. People.
Why, have you sent it somewhere?
Yeah, I sent it. Nightmares on Wax gave us a really nice quote, and Giles Peterson gave us a nice quote as well. So, and do you know what, actually? There's a festival, you won't, I don't think you'll have heard of the festival. It's called We Out Here Festival. And that's the last gig that Pharoah Sanders did before he died this summer. Anyway, I just got an email out the blue from Noah, who organises that. So I don't know how he heard the album, but it's obviously causing enough interest, I hope. I'm excited about it. It is. I'm looking forward to it coming out.
Yeah, it seems to be that it's going down that route of Pharoah Sanders-esque type genre.
Just that's around at the moment, you mean?
Yeah, it's going on to his sort of legacy, and I mean, it is very similar to the stuff that came out on that Freedom.
You got to have freedom.
You got to have freedom, which I think came out in, I think it was 91, wasn't it? Something like that. It was a long time ago, but I remember getting that album and being completely immersed in what he did with that. I mean, the first album was like something, when you first hear you won't, but for me, when I first heard the Charlie Parker stuff, it was like a light bulb came on, and it was that was like an album that changed my direction. And it seems to have, because I heard him about a couple of weeks ago on the radio, playing with I think it was it wasn't the Halle. I think it might have been the BBC Philharmonic.
It was the London Philharmonic, and it was his last album that he did with a guy called Floating Points.
Ah, right. Well, I heard that track, and there was it was where he was doing the stuff that was those sort of false fingering stuff, where he was doing that again, and I thought that is his. He's taken that to be his trait. Well, it is him, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's him, and nobody else did that. Or they did do it before in the 40s, but it became his sort of thing, didn't it?
Absolutely.
And you can't. And it's things like that where you think that is the reason why you pick an instrument up, because that becomes you, and it projects out to the audience, and you'll be remembered because of that.
Do you think anybody else did that? That thing that is Pharoah Sanders' sound, like after Pharoah Sanders, or
after? Not really, but I think before that it was Earl Bostic.
Really?
That used to do that in the 50s, where he used to do false fingerings, and it's very similar to that. And sort of Mike Brecker did a bit of that. Well, he did a lot of that, but not in the way that Pharoah Sanders did it.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's a very strange thing, isn't it? That out of a piece of metal, you can create something that is similar to everybody else, but different.
Yeah. And what was I trying to say there? What was I thinking of there? I was thinking, because I always ask you to do more like Pharoah Sanders, but
yes,
it's not an like. I was thinking about this because it's not. How do I put this? I don't know how I put this, because I don't hear Pharoah Sanders. I hear you. So it's almost like
that's what I was sort of trying to get across, the fact that it's the same note, the same sort of false fingerings, the same idea of but it's not, because it's coming from him. So it's the soul that comes out, isn't it?
Yeah,
I believe, and the attack. It's the willingness to allow that to come through.
man,
I think that's what really comes across.
That's really interesting, because the thing somebody was asking me recently, because they were asking me to describe the label and what it is that I do or we're trying to do, and it's that idea that it could be perceived as a pastiche, but it's more about trying to recreate the situations that these people were in when they made music. You know, the recording situations, the performance situations, all, you know, the way that they played. And then it just comes out like you, doesn't it? You know, it's not a copy. You know, it's like you may do those things, or you may take a great influence or admiration from a certain player like Pharoah Sanders, but it just comes out as Tony Burkill.
Yeah, but and that will be the same for you when you're playing the bass. When you've thought, well, how do I get that sound out of the amp, and the mix and the mix of the amp and the bass and the strings and you creates you.
Yeah.
It can't create anybody else, can it? Because you cannot play the same attack, because some people will have a different picking style. Some people will pick with 3 fingers, 2 fingers. The nail, they'll use a different... And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That out of a piece of metal or a piece of wood, you can get a completely different outlook. And it's your outlook and it's your life that comes out of it.
There you go.
That's the interesting thing, and that is the amazing thing about music, isn't it? And I suppose the same thing is to do with art or poetry. I mean, one person's word is completely another person's idea of that word.
Yeah.
And how you use it in a sentence, or how your vocabulary can change the sense of what you're trying to put across. And that's what music is, isn't it? It's that being able to put across what you want to put across. And that nobody can take that away from you.
I think a lot of people struggle to do that as well, though. A lot of people struggle. I think a lot of people struggle to do that as well, to be that kind of honest or truthful, or
for sure, yeah, and maybe there's a lot of people that don't want to do that either.
No, or don't have the capacity to look inward for that, you know.
No, and not interested, and maybe that's what makes artists. Maybe that's what is the difference.
I think that's maybe like why one of the reasons I'm so drawn to your playing. I think I remember some of the gigs at Cellar Bar, you know, on a Tuesday night when nobody was really coming to see us playing Roland Kirk tunes or John Clemmer tunes and things like that. But you get so many people just off the street who were just completely mesmerised by what you were playing, when normally maybe that might be a bit too much for people to sort of take in, you know, musically or whatever. You know, it might not be what people were looking for, but you managed to mesmerise just the everyman. And I remember asking you about that, and you were like, well, I play from the heart. That was your answer when I asked you. You probably don't remember, but I remember that. I just remember this couple I think they'd come to Leeds, you know, from Manchester or something, and they came in and they were just sat all night. And I think there was very little people in the audience, and, you know, they clearly didn't look like sort of fans of that kind of music. But afterwards they were like, what was that? That was just incredible, you know, and things. And that was your answer to, you know, when I was asking you about that, you're like, well, I play from the heart every time.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes across all sorts of genres of music as well, doesn't it? Soul music, that's why they call it soul music. All sorts of roots music, because it's got to come from the heart and it's got to come from the soul. And maybe that's what separates people like Pharaoh Sanders because they lived it. It was their life, and they wanted to communicate that to people and to their family, I suppose. And it's, I suppose it's this remaining real is what they call it, isn't it? Keep it real.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the keep it real is, because you're trying to be real to yourself, and if you're real to yourself, then you'll be real to other people.
Absolutely, comes across.
I believe that. I think that's the way forward, and as you've done with this label, that's why I've sort of stuck with you. Well, you know, we're friends, aren't we? And that makes a lot of difference, because you can tell me what to do, and I don't mind you telling me what to do. Not telling me what to do, but directing me in a certain way, because you have, haven't you?
Yes.
Because
yes.
you wanted a certain thing out of this label.
Yes.
So, and I don't mind that, because we are friends. That makes a lot of difference with the label as well, isn't it? And I suppose you're upfront about what you want from the start, and it fits with me, because I love that type of thing. And as I said earlier, that it was a light bulb moment for me when I heard that album and the Pharaoh Sanders stuff and all the coming out of the Coltrane stuff, because for me it's more because with Coltrane there was so many notes, so much ideas, that I just liked the fact that this was going back to almost the blues, Muddy Waters.
With all the information behind it, though, as well, isn't it? That's what I was thinking about recently. It's not like those notes. Remember what I was saying about the idea of a third can sound different, like a major third can sound different from different people. And it's like the information that's coming behind it and the things that he's not playing. Like Pharaoh Sanders had clearly gone through all this stuff, but that raw energy is the real raw energy of a man who's studied, you know, at the altar, if you know what I mean, for, you know, he's dedicated his entire being to it, hasn't he? So that note has so much more impact, or that simplicity.
Yes, but that also comes, you know, the reason why I was saying that was because, you know, with the saxophone, people can just play so many notes.
Yes.
Because it's like a guitarist, you just think there's so many notes there, it turns you off after a bit. But with what he was doing on that album, where he was sort of taking it back to what it really means with one note. Yeah. And that was what got me with that, because it was an A on the saxophones, concert G. But you know, when you just, and then you go up the octave, but it's the same notes, but you get you get the same effect. I don't know, I have one note, and that's what got me, because you could play that and it would resonate with you the same way, I suppose, that multiple notes do. He was able to do it with one note, but that's following on the sort of tradition of the fifth of the, not following on the tradition. It's just the blues tradition and the rock and roll thing, where you're playing one note, and it's one note that does it. And I suppose that is the same as if you go back in antiquity, really. I mean, when the instruments were not as refined as they are now. So you'd have maybe like similar to like a pentatonic scale in the harmonica or something, where you would be limited to that. But you'd call it limited, but you hear something like Sonny Boy Williamson playing the harmonica.
Don't sound limited.
That's not limited, but it's limited to like five or six. No, what? 11 centimeters of metal, and it's not limited, is it? Because it becomes you. And I think that's what musicians or anything where you're creating is it becomes you, whatever that is.
That's wonderful.
And that's difficult, though, isn't it? But I think that takes time to get to that point where you have to accept that is you. So you're not going to be jack-up stories. You're not going to be Wilton Fenton. You're not going to be Jimi Hendrix. But you can listen to that and try and absorb bits of it, and you can try and copy it if you want, but the copying becomes obsolete after a while because you realise that you are copying. So the fundamental thing is to be yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
As much as possible. And that's not difficult, is it, if you think like that?
I think I've said to you, or I might have said to you recently, like, I've dropped my expectation for, playing when I play. And especially when you're trying to do the recording and it's, you're playing double bass and you're engineering and you're producing. It's like I don't have enough headspace. And then to worry about how well I play. But then the more I let go of that, the better it sounds. And it doesn't sound perfect by any stretch, but it sounds more honest and more like the types of records that I've idolised.
That's the thing that I sort of got from you, where I have learned from you with the fact of trying to let go that it's not going to be perfect. And this way of recording is a way of recording that sort of allows you to do that, and you've got an acceptance of that. Which, when you hear other players, I keep going back to where they sound perfect. Oscar Peterson, people like that you just think you never ever create that, will you? Because it's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's not you. So what are you going to get out of it? What do you want out of it? You're not going to be him. You're not going to be anybody else. But I suppose it's like people that are put on pedestals, and I suppose especially in this sort of jazz world where it is like look like idols. Well, maybe you're worshipping a false idol, because the false idol is not you, is it?
No.
It's not you, it's them. So you've got to try and get your head around that. And I think that is maybe the important thing about music, that you've just got to be yourself. And hopefully that will, at some time in your life, you'll be able, you capture that. And that's what this music and you're doing over a period of time, is capturing that.
Isn't it lucky that we've got a studio, eh?
Well, yeah, you're doing that, and whatever comes out, warts and all, and that's what you've sort of allowed me to think, like, that it is warts and all. If you think it's a funny term, that, isn't it? Because it's, but that's what it is.
It's so image based as well. It's like a warts and all. I don't know. I think a Roald Dahl or something like that. But it's like you're describing your sax playing. I know it's dead easy for someone else to lay on the compliments, and you to.
I know you keep doing that.
Yeah, I know you like it, don't you?
I don't really don't. Well, I suppose it's great, isn't it, to listen to that, like somebody massaging your ego.
But it's funny, like that warts and all, like the way that you think about your own playing, and then when I listen back to, like some of the like each time I get a thing from you, I capture these moments, or we work towards these moments. I just find it absolutely jaw-dropping, like jaw-dropping how good it is, how in the moment you are with those performances, and how, it's just like I'm going to sound like an idiot, but like a cry for freedom. Do you know what I mean? It's got that, you've got that thing where you are tapping into something that is much, much deeper or beyond the notes, and then it's like all the work that you've put into the instrument that comes out. Like some of those, I don't know, those high moments. Like I'm thinking, like, you might not even know which track I mean, but I called it Freedom as a Heartfelt Song, because that's what it sounded like to me. It felt like a heartfelt song about freedom. And it's the first track that we recorded as a full band on that recording session. And there's just moments of that. And I don't know if it was the build up, of me kind of like trying to push you more towards a certain thing. You kind of thinking, oh God, what's he want? All right, more of this, more of this, more of this. And then Sam had come in and the energy was, a bit mixed with that because he was teaching. So he was coming into the room later on and all this. And it was just an absolute blistering take, with so much energy. And you just absolutely soar over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I'm going to try and lead into some of these questions. We haven't even started the questions yet that my mate sent me, right? But my idea behind what we are doing with Work, Money, Death is, what I notice is like the first thing that you do is generally the thing. It's like if we do it's like you improvise compositionally sometimes. So if we have a jam and I record it, like generally like that, if I'd had a full band in there, that would have been the take. That's what it sounds like to me. And then I started reading a bit more about sort of how Pharoah Sanders did a lot of, he talked about the same thing. He was saying the less we rehearsed and we just went in and did it, the better the results were. Yeah. And obviously for them, they probably had a lot more contact with each other playing wise and things like that. But I'm like, we've known each other a very long time. Maybe 20 years. I've known Sam 25 years. I've known Chris. So it's like we've done that sort of work together. So I just have to get you guys all in the right sort of, all singing off the same hymn sheet or whatever. And then it's just like, it's like the first thing, that comes out of you. So that's what I was trying to capture with this album. I was trying to, we were doing two things, weren't we? I was also recording an album at 432 hertz.
I know.
For you as well, when we found out it's...
That seems to have gone by the wayside, but that is, to me as well, you see, that I would really love to be able to go down that route, because to experiment more in that way.
We can easily do that. We just can't do it with piano.
It didn't work with the piano, did it?
No. So, like a brief explanation of this is, Tony, why do you want to record at 432 hertz?
Because I think that at the heart of it, and at the heart of everything, I think, right through to the human cell, is about vibration. And I think it's been known for eons, and it's a thing that is more to do with a feeling, and vibration gives you an exaltation, if you like, of your being, and that is a connection with everybody else through frequency and not the spoken word. That's what fundamentally I think music is. It comes down to frequency. So I don't know, you see, I'm not sure what I'm being told is true, apart from the feeling that it gives you. So,
and 432 hertz is a more cosmic vibration, right?
I believe so, but I haven't. We together haven't really investigated that, have we?
Well, we can continue doing it. What just like I really enjoyed doing it, to be honest with you.
Well, we haven't really investigated it, so that's the route that I would like to go down, and I think this label, or you, or all of us, are maybe open to that. And that's another thing about this thing that you've got going, is the fact that people can come and will go, well, yeah, let's give it a go and see what happens.
Again,
that's the joy of it as well.
Yeah, and that's back to the sort of joy or privilege of having our own proper recording space that we can just go and do these things,
Yeah.
Like I was saying to Gaz, like I forgot, the recording that we did as a band, I'd actually booked to do something else with Gaz, but Gaz didn't feel sort of as comfortable doing it because he hadn't been playing piano for a while. So I thought, oh, why don't we do, a session with Tony and Sam? And I just picked up the phone at the beginning of the week, and I think I just texted you maybe, and you just went, yep, I'm free Wednesday, no problem, see you then, and that was it.
All right, so this wasn't really even on the cards then.
Not in a way. It was quite sort of serendipitous that it happened, really. Like, obviously, we've been planning to do it because we'd recorded 2 tracks already that are on the album, and they were just recorded to begin with. Well, they were just recorded, you and me. Along those lines, as I said before, it's like, let's just, we did that meditation one that's half an hour long that I edited it down to sort of 10 minutes. But that was literally, we walked in the room, I picked up my bass, I said, I want to do it on this idea of healing. And then, I tuned my bass down. And then the other one was the one that's become the spoken word thing. And they were both so good as takes. It was just like, right, we've just got to build around them. And then I was thinking about recording some more tracks. I'd actually sent them to somebody and they'd gone, these are incredible, but you can't have an album that's just these 2 tunes. And I kind of wanted to, but I got talked out of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I sent it to Chip Wickham actually, and he kind of went, you can't, because I wanted to put on the album, I was like, I'm going to lean full into this. I'm going to put a half-hour sort of meditation track and that spoken word track. And I got talked out of it. And I was kind of glad I got talked out of it because that then led me to go, oh, I wonder if everyone else is free. And everyone was. Sam was like, yep, I can do those 2 days. And Chris was like, yep, I can do those days.
That's unusual for you to get talked out of something, Neil.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Because, you're quite... and you found that it sort of works for you if you do think about... if you do go with what you think.
Yes.
That's unusual, that.
Yeah. Well, I do like kind of sticking to my guns on these things. And
I know.
I think it's worth doing.
All right. Okay, well, that's unusual. Well, did that sort of answer it there? Because it was all about frequency for me, and there's obviously something going on that none of us really understand yet, and I don't think that science really understands it. Maybe it will very soon, with it sort of the way that the body is electrically charged and the way that frequency is running through every cell and the fact that we can heal ourselves through frequency. I think the finding that maybe that's been lost for some unknown reason. I really don't understand.
There's probably a huge amount that's been lost, isn't there, that we don't understand.
I don't understand that, why we should have lost that, really.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around it. So maybe this will be a way of, because we haven't really, we've scratched the surface of it. So we haven't got together and really thought, well, let's just do that for a couple of sessions and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not difficult to tune a bloody instrument a bit lower.
Well, yeah, so that's why we can't use a piano, but, we can use other instruments. And again, that's where, like, Gaz, who... I asked another harpist to come and, do the thing before I asked Gaz, and she plays a huge concert harp, and she was kind of like, I can't tune it down to that. It'll take, weeks for it to come back to tuning. And I was like, oh, I should speak to, Gaz. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, I do that for, like, meditation sessions all the time because it's a smaller Celtic harp. And he was like, yeah, just do it the night before, and then, I'll tune it back up the next day. And it will all be fine.
Well, you see, this is nothing new. It's nothing new, but it's not being put into albums. It's not being done like that in this sort of setting where it is live.
Yes, not at all. I do see more people recording like electronic music and things like that and binaural stuff that I don't know much about at 432 frequency. So there are people in the electronic music who are doing it quite a bit, but not many that I've seen in kind of, art side of things.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's quite prevalent in Baroque music because that's what they used to tune to. They used to play that 432.
Oh, yeah, they do. And there's a name for that as well, actually, because... Oh, I've forgotten the name of that. Yeah, because my...
Well, that's commonplace, but we don't do that. And I thought the last time when we got together with Gaz and he was tuning, I didn't say anything, but I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought, you're tuned into 440, aren't you? And I
Oh,
thought,
that's interesting.
I didn't say anything.
You felt that 440.
Yeah. No, I felt it because that's what I felt it. But I didn't want to say anything, rock the boat.
Those two bonus tracks are beautiful, by the way.
I know, apart from that, Hannah, yeah, I'm not going to go
Apart from
into
what? Go on.
Well, the end of that first one, I went, oh, is that the right note then? I was bending it at the top. I thought, did he not hear it?
I didn't hear that one.
It's weird, isn't it? I thought, oh no, I was bending it, so it's flat. Get it up. And that's what I'm thinking, is it flat, is it sharp? Is it flat, is it sharp? But do you think, is it flat, is it sharp? Yeah, of course you've got to think, is it flat or is it sharp?
To an extent, yeah.
You have to, don't you? Otherwise, it's that music. And then you think, well, is it flat or is it sharp? I fuck knows. But and that's why I sort of came back to the first bit where I just thought, let it go, because sometimes, as you said, you will just get something that surpasses all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. You're looking for glimpses through the clouds, aren't you?
Yeah, and after we did that session,
Basically.
These ones and the bonus track one, it's just I just want to get more done, like more of it. Like, it's so hard to organize people's lives, my own, everybody else's, to find the time. Like, I had Yoast here for a few days last week, and it was incredible. It's like, again, just saying to him, it's like, oh, if I just had more time, to really delve into this stuff, it's like, I think it'll just get better and better. Shall I ask you some of these questions? What did you expect from this recent project?
I expected to reach, I suppose, a higher level of performance together with other people, I think, because we'd been in the studio for so long, over a long period of time, if not together in a short space of time, but over a long period of time, and knowing people for that long period of time, you sort of know what you're going to get out of it, because it seems to be more of a stages we're going through of development. So I'm expecting to get a higher, not a higher, but a more involved result, and a result that will hopefully be good for everybody. That's what I was expecting from it.
Excellent. What preparation did you do before walking into the studio?
Well, I always sort of prepare for that, because I have the luxury of having a bit of time, because I don't teach anymore or do any of that. I've sort of allowed myself to be able to practice.
You come in sometimes with such a sort of burning intensity. It's
because I know that this is what I have to do, and in order to do that, I suppose whatever you like or you love, you will do through thick and thin, and that's what I bring to this, is the fact that I've worked on it beforehand. I don't see that you can not come into to do anything where you're trying to create something and not have worked on it before.
It's really clear that you appear ready from like the very moment you walk in the studio.
I think when you've got anybody that is held in sort of higher esteem, that they have put the hours in or lived it, if you see what I mean, or tried to have lived it or lived whatever you think living it is, whether that's gigging or self-practice or self-motivation or a thought process of your life being this, then that will come out in the when you're recorded. And if you're not ready, that will come out as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer to that.
Can you describe the energy or atmosphere during the recording?
Well, the atmosphere, I think, it all comes down to the fact that we all know what it's about, I think, or we all know what it needs to create. So you are allowing that creativity to come through in your studio. So we all know that, and we're all going for the same direction. So you are a catalyst for that to happen. And that's what comes through when we're all together. But when we're all together, we don't really know what's going to come out, and that's the beauty of it. Even though we've got a sort of framework, we don't really know what's going to come out at the end, and that is the creative process that you've done in your studio. It's a creative process, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel. It's sort of, I mean, I could go into the bollocks of it. Yeah, it's electric.
Do you know what?
It's electric. It's electric when we go in there.
Well, I thought a couple of things. It's usually just a lot of fun. You know, I do remember a lot of laughing. I remember you having everyone in stitches telling people about your days living in a lorry.
Oh, yeah.
And I also remember I was reading this Pharaoh Sanders thing about how they used to, like, it was like a whole caravan of people would turn up to the studio and they would cook and things like that. So I made sure I brought pakoras. So everybody was eating pakoras and enjoying their pakoras. So, like, when I've spoken to other people, I've been remembering a different energy. I've been remembering my energy of sort of anxiety, if you know what I mean, of trying to capture that take and getting everyone on the page. But now as I'm talking to you, I guess it's because you're usually very, well, everyone's very jovial, but, you know, I do remember it just kind of being very happy and people happy to see each other, don't always get to see each other that long, old friends.
Well, it. That's it, and I think it's a lot of that, and the willingness to get the job done, I suppose, if you see what I mean. But through get the job done, I don't know whether that's right, but
you're there to do. You know, we're there to work. You know. Yeah,
to create. I think it's that willingness to create, and hopefully to transfer that through other people.
Yes.
Not onto, but through them.
Yeah.
And it was, well, I enjoyed it, and I think we're looking forward to doing more.
Oh, absolutely.
Of the same thing, and seeing what happens with it, and especially going down the electrified route, which hasn't happened yet either.
It's got to get there sometime.
And I think the only way that would get me to do this live is to have that box.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, think back to when we were sat on the couch and I was playing you the end mixed album. Were you surprised by the end product?
Yeah, I think I was surprised. I mean, I was surprised how great the sound was, and how we can produce something like that from nothing together. That's the other thing is when you sort of producing works of art or stuff when you're practicing, you have got your own level that you think, yeah, I'm at this level. Yes, I'm getting there. I'm getting there every day. I'm sort of trying to do new stuff and that. But when you get to with other people, it morphs into something else. It morphs not only into your own perception, but into theirs. And then it becomes something else greater than you. And that's what I found in these sessions, that it did become greater than me.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. I like that a lot. Do you know what? I can ask you a few more of these questions, but we've kind of covered a lot of them. Like what influences did you bring to this project?
What influences? I think we've sort of gone down that route. Apart from being prepared, trying to be prepared.
I know.
But for this, and I can tell that it's going to be more of a sort of a life journey, type of a thing. Yes. And these are just glimpses into that life journey, and that's what I've sort of accepted, with the fact that it's never going to be perfect. So that's your life journey. Whatever it is on a 9:30 on a Monday morning is whatever you produce. And whatever you produce on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock is whatever you produce. But you can work up to that with a thought process, and that's what you brought to this.
Can I ask you one thing then, instead of the influences? Like, what are you thinking of? When we've gone into that room, because like those tunes, it was no rehearsal. In my mind, I had a bit of a kind of template, shall we say, or idea of like, right, I'm going to kind of try and push them towards this. I'm going to do this kind of baseline chord progression and stuff. But what are you thinking? Are you just completely gone in the moment? Because that's where the preparation comes in, doesn't it? It's like you are then free to just play.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's what you're trying to do, isn't it? You're trying to prepare as much as possible in order to be in the moment when you're there. But the framework did come from you a little bit, because you did give me that, or give us all that template, and you've always done that, have you not?
I have, or I've tried. I tried to.
Well, you have, haven't you?
Yeah,
you have. That's come down to you, really. So you've set the template. And then whether it goes slightly off on that or whether it stays on that is, if it works, it works. And you're quite happy to let that work. I think that's the other thing. So that you've got your own sense of what you want out of it. And if it goes down that route and it sounds great, then you've got a bonus there.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's what you've done. And I suppose that's being... leadership. That's what it means.
It's funny to think of myself like that.
Is it not?
I don't know. Leading. I don't know. That's a kind of me thinking. Like I look up to everybody who comes and performs or contributes to the music of the label, because I'm always just blown away by how incredible their abilities are, and I don't kind of see myself as one of those people. So to see myself as a leader in that situation, that's why my head just did a little twitch there. I was like, oh, it's funny to hear that. Well, like I know that's what I'm doing. I'm you
leading, are doing that.
Those things, but it's just funny to hear it back. That's all.
Yeah, I think that's well, yeah, but without that input, you would not have the framework, and that's what you've done. You set the framework for this.
Do you think, this is the last couple of questions, do you think one take, no rehearsal process led to a more dynamic session?
Sometimes not.
I definitely think it leads to a quicker session, doesn't it? Because I think we only played those tunes twice, and that was it.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. When you said, well, we've got about 3 hours to do this, then you are sort of limited to get things going. But there is the other thing, is if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. So that's the other beauty of it, I suppose, is the fact that the pressure is on, but it's not on, if you see what I mean, because you can, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Exactly. We can just come back.
So, oh, you can come back and you think it doesn't work, so let's try something else. Or try it again, and that's the flexibility of it, what you've got there. But in order to I feel that in order to get things done, you really have to live it. You have to, like, be true to it. Otherwise, you could come back forever and it wouldn't be right.
Yeah, exactly. Tony Burkill, what do you think of this album?
Neil, Innes, I haven't heard it.
You have. We sat and listened to it in the studio.
When?
Like, we listened to the whole thing back to front, and also I send you them all the time as well. Is this proof that you don't listen to what I send you? No, you do, because you've always got a comment.
Yeah,
me.
I do, but it's been a year, you know.
Has it been? What? No. We did it in March. It's been a long 6 months.
I haven't heard it since then.
Yeah, that was when I think I played you the final mixes.
You did, but I thought you was going to take them somewhere else to get them mixed.
Oh, no, like...
Do you remember? You said... you see. You said that you were going to take them to... You said you used to take them somewhere, but you can't do that anymore. Somewhere or something like that. You can't, so you've got to take them somewhere else.
I was just going to go and check the mixes in some other places. That's
right.
That's what I was going to do.
I think vaguely. Do you remember me saying that they? I mean, I thought that they sounded different. The mixes sounded different.
Yeah, because they were different recording sessions. But you always kind of pick up on those kind of subtleties. But yeah, they were different recording sessions. But that is not something that kind of bothered me anyway.
No, well, that's it. You see, so we'll let that go, and that's the greatness of it. Is I suppose that you can let things like that, little things, just go.
Yeah.
And see what happens with it, because obviously people do think differently. That's the other thing.
I know.
You've got to accept what people think differently, and not what you think. So, and I think with other labels or other people that are trying to get a product, is that maybe wouldn't happen.
I know, you've just got to let them go out into the world, warts and all, because back to that one take, no rehearsal maybe, or whatever, when you went back to that time when people were making these albums, they kind of only had one shot of doing it, you know, and they often didn't really get to hear the end product either. You know, I was listening to a thing with Ron Carter, and he was like, I rarely heard playback of the albums that I played on.
That's right, but that was a product of their livelihoods, because they would be gigging 7 nights a week. And how
a studio structure was and a label structure. It's like, we're not interested in what the bass player thinks of the take.
Yeah. No, that's it, and it was that's the way it was done then, and that's the way that they lived it, wasn't it? They'd go to jam sessions till 6 o'clock in the morning, and then go and record it, but they'd be ready for it.
They certainly were, weren't they?
That's what I mean. So I suppose that's a different way of thinking about it, because it would be just like getting up on the bandstand. You are ready for it. So that's nothing really.
And that's the thing, if you can make the studio as close to that as possible, to that experience, then, surely that's when you capture the magic sometimes, right? When people aren't thinking about the recording. That's one of the things I'm trying to achieve as well, with myself, but also with everyone else. It's like...
That's another thing for me, which I found quite difficult with recording, is actually being able to forget that you're being recorded.
Yeah,
there's always this thing, and I find that a bit easier with what we're doing with you, because it's easier to think, well, it is what it is, and that's the way it is. So something, obviously we're getting results from it, so you don't have to worry as much, because there will be something in there that is usable.
Absolutely.
So that's the other thing about it. But yeah, that's why I like turning the lights down.
I've got to
And
get
that's
better.
why I
I've got to
thought-
get better lighting for
Yeah,
not just
but
you
it's-
in particular, but for everyone. Just to get
Yeah.
that mood going a bit more in the place.
I think so, and that's why I sort of like that, because you sort of in your own. Well, you're in a space, but you're not in a recording space.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere, and
Yeah.
that's why I tried to do that, and that's why I tried to connect with the ground. I try to like free up as much as possible to get this type of creation going in that space.
Is that why you always take your shoes off?
Yeah, because I think just try and loosen up a bit.
It's funny. I've never questioned that. I've never
Does
questioned that.
anybody else do it?
No, nobody else does. You're the only person. You take your shoes off. You always take your shoes off.
Oh, there we go.
Bare feet.
But I saw that with saw somebody doing that once, which I thought was very odd. I thought it was a keyboard player. I can't remember. He took his shoes and socks off because he wanted to be connected to the piano. And I suppose it's this connection of your certain parts of your body connected to stuff because your fingers connected to this piece of metal. There's this mouthpiece going into your mouth. So why don't you try and earth yourself so you're like a battery?
I really like that. On that note, Tony, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
I shall see you later now.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye.
Hey, well done for making it this far. If you like what you heard, why not head over to our Bandcamp and check out Thought, Action, Reaction, Interaction by Work Money Death. It's coming out on the 25th of November. ATA Records. See you soon.